I'm restoring a 1968 Datsun 520 pickup truck. I have a deadline of September the 15th. This week's efforts to restore this truck have possibly been in vain because I have had a lot of issues with the rear end and a whole bunch of rust. But don't worry, I am the one and only infamous Kentucky Yankee without a doubt, and I'm sure we will get it done somehow. Maybe. Time to drag the rear end out of this corner, and I'll tell you right now, I am not looking forward to this job. Work smarter, not harder. That's what they always say. I'm curious, does it have any fluid in it? I doubt it. Ooh, she's full. That is a good sign. I'm gonna start by draining this fluid out. Looks as old as the truck, but really not bad. That drum has a crack right there in it, but when I spin it, it's nice and straight, so I don't know if we'll use it or not. You run into some weird stuff sometimes. This truck has sat for years. And look, shiny metal in there where the brakes go. Why isn't it all rusted up? Here's a spring up here, see that? And it's missing, it's just in there. And look over here, that's the top for it. It's supposed to be like this one. How'd that get wedged in there like that? Plenty of spider webs. My goodness, look at this. Jeez, look at all them webs. I was able to get these brake lines off easy. They're not too bad a shape. Of course we gotta replace them though. Wheel cylinder, made in Japan. The awful clips were uninstalled on the back of this adjuster. They're just like in the front. Now I'll get this side apart and then we can remove the axles, maybe the shocks. Before we can go any further, I gotta get it cleaned up. I don't want that dirt and rust getting into the internals. This tool is called a crud castrator. I will demonstrate it for you. It is pneumatic, meaning it uses air pressure to operate. It is quite the brilliant little tool. A wire wheel on a grinder, and I have a variety of them and some fit on drills. A demonstration of its effectiveness. Isn't that lovely? This tool is called the spinning drum, and we have different drum options for this tool. Beautiful. This is before, and now I'll spend several labor-intensive, soul-crushing, heart-killing hours cleaning up this mess, and then I will show you an after. Changing plans. I'm gonna totally disassemble it before I clean it. I wasn't really planning on doing it this way, but it's the best way. That one may not want to come out of there. Look at that. No rust. No rust between here and there. Still paint. Normally, you would just get a torch, heat this up, and it would come off, but I don't have any tanks that are full, so I can't heat it, so I'm going to cut the nut off. That way I could save this U-bolt. You have to be smarter than the bolt. This is common on U-bolts. See that? I tightened this other side again, and when I went to take it back off, it had seized up on me. And they'll do that. I should have known better. I'm gonna see if I can run a dye over it and clean up the threads. Unfortunately, it's pretty rough. You could put a nut on there, but I'll probably rob one of these U-bolts off another truck I have out there. Let's see how the other side does. I did this to the other side too before I attempted to take these off. Clean the ends up with a wire wheel. Got those threads too. I should have quit earlier. So 2 good ones and 2 bad ones. I'll have to get a couple off the other truck. Would have been a lot smarter just to heat those nuts up with a torch, or just cut them off to start with when they were stuck like that. Sometimes you just don't think of everything while you're working on stuff. I'm surprised that it already feels loose, and I figured to be seized up, maybe not. Look at that. This old truck is just full of surprises. Look at that. Just popped right out. Now for the other side. This rear end is similar to that of a Ford 9-inch rear end, except better. Speaking of 9-inch rear ends, I've never been able to keep the seals from leaking on them. The axle seals would always leak after a short period of time, and pinion seal would always leak. A lot of times the nuts would come loose on them, and people would say, oh, you didn't do this right and that right, whatever. I had plenty of Ford trucks, they were all the same. Something I think worth mentioning, these lock washers still have tension. Think about that. They've probably not been removed since 1968, and they still have tension. That's amazing. Coming right off. I'm just using a screwdriver to get under it. I'm not having to pry it or anything, just have to pick it up. A little heavy. That's all it is. A little heavy. That sucks. We've got a little bit of rust here on the teeth in this section. And I should say, actually more than a little bit. It's pitted pretty good. Not happy about that, but we may or may not use this. I don't know. I may get the other one out of the other truck and see what it looks like. The hardest thing you'll ever do in your life is try and remove a seal while you're filming for YouTube. The camera's always in the way, you can't get the right angle, and they're always tough when you go to pull them out. So I'll get the other side out without filming. Here's the pile of parts I have to clean, and I also have some shackle brackets over there on the bench that'll get cleaned up. I'm gonna hold off on these axles. We gotta take them apart to get the backing plates off, but they're bent up really bad. And after looking at the differential, which I'm gonna hold off on cleaning that too, I think I'm gonna drag the other truck up here. We'll take the differential out, see what it looks like, get our 2 U-bolts that we need off of it, and see if the backing plates are in better condition than these. These will be the easiest parts to clean up. Just stick them in the vat. Do your magic, vat. Let's check on our rusty parts. Look at that. Ah. Enamel paint, I'm guessing. Look at that. Rust is off of them. Wow. Nice and clean. And the shackles. Unbelievable. I've been letting these sit probably for a couple days. They're ready to come out. Hard to beat the vat when it comes to cleaning rusty parts. Look at these pieces. Just nearly perfect. Got the air compressor ready to go. We're gonna pump these tires up. I really was not wanting to drag this truck out of the woods this early in the game because it's gonna be in the way in the garage, but I've got no choice at this point. She's pumping up. Honestly, I was not expecting that. This thing, it's just muddy and it's too steep of an incline. If it was dry, I believe it'd pull it out. That flat tire is not helping either. It went back down. As always, I escaped near disaster. If this frame would have ripped in half, we would have had a calamity. Got her in and I got it on the lift, but it certainly did not go as planned. Red meat, that's how I stay savage. I'm experimenting with wheel colors. I had it navy here in the center, and then I got gray and I got black. I'm thinking gray like that, white on the outside. And then these wheels had a pinstripe around the outside. I can select any color I want, either green or I'm thinking navy blue, but I don't know just yet. That's the pinstripe right there that I was telling you about. I think that's factory. need to take the adjuster loose. I need a brake spoon. Does anybody know what that is? I've never owned one in my life, but I need one right now. This one should be easier. It's already come off a little bit on its own. Well, that was a lot easier. Very nice. The adjuster's missing. That's why the drum came off so easy. These backing plates, although again not perfect, I think are in better shape than the ones we have. The U-bolts, no good. These have been replaced. I don't want to use ones that have been replaced. And I think the springs maybe have been altered, replaced, I don't know, but it's got less springs than the other. Well, look here, the bottom spring I think is what they took out. Now I'll get all this apart. We'll check the chunk to see how the gears look and see, hopefully there's no rust. This chunk is cast iron. It's not cast aluminum like the other one. I'd rather have cast aluminum, but really it doesn't matter that much. Let's see what the fluid looks like in this rear end. Nasty, but not red, so that tells me hopefully it's not rusty, but it does have some metal on the magnet more than the other one did. A little bit of rust on the axle. No rust on that axle. That grease is so caked on there, I thought it was a seal. Let me show it to you. I like finding stuff like this when I work on vehicles. This almost looks like a seal. Look at it right there, like, see that? It's not, it's grease. Much heavier than the aluminum one. Now let's see what we have here. I believe we have a winner. No rust in this one. I could take these gears out of this chunk and put it into the aluminum one, but I'm not going to. It's fine just the way it is. We will use this chunk. Some people would call this a pumpkin or a rear differential, I guess. Ring and pinion gear. I'm sure there's a lot of different names. Should we make her into a locker? No. I have rebuilt many rear ends in my day, and I can tell you, this one is in good shape, the gears. The bearings also seem smooth. We'll put a pinion seal in this, and we are good to go with this one. What do these yellow numbers mean? Looks like it's 19T1. This gear I think is supposed to be, it's crazy, like a 485 or something. I'm gonna count the teeth and see what we have. Am I happy I plucked this truck out of the woods? At this point, very happy, and I'll tell you why. This is a 389 gear ratio, and this is like a 487, something like that. So this gear, the original one, would have been way low. This one at 389, probably just about right. I am a happy Benny. Let's see when we get this axle apart so I can get the backing plate off and cleaned up. That was probably tighter than, oh, I forgot there's a lock nut under there, lock nut holding this. I should have bent the tabs out. That was silly. This is beveled. The bevel goes down. This is, if I can get it out. This is the lock. I should have released the tab. I screwed it up. Not cool. Flat washer, and now I think we can get this bearing out. Shims, which I almost screwed up. The shims on the other axles, I thought I lost track of them, but I didn't. So anyways, I'm gonna keep track of these shims with this axle. I've got it all set up in the press. Let's just see what happens. Quite a bit of pressure. Oh, there she goes. When it breaks loose, I usually take off just like you saw. And there she is. Nice. Our bearing, I will clean and inspect that later. Also the race. It's looking good though, just at a glance. I just noticed this little spacer on this bearing. So, fits right in here like that. Interesting. Old truck. We've got a seal here, and I got to get the race out because this is going in the dip tank. Get out, seal. I said it before. You can't get a seal out while filming on YouTube. It's impossible. Nobody can. That is nobody except the one and only infamous Kentucky Yankee, without a doubt. So you can tap this race out. There she is. Whoop. Maybe better to press it out, but no damage done. This is a Japanese bearing race. Now all I have to do is peck these little dents out here. They're really not that bad, and it will go in the dip tank. This time, I'm gonna try not to screw the lock up here. Oh, there it is right there. And that's it, just one. Now it should peck off easier than that other side did. And it did, much easier. Look at that. Everybody makes mistakes. Don't be getting after me. Now back on the press. You are coming with me. Well, we've got something going on here. A mystery, if you will, so to speak. If you look at this right here, see that lip there? And this is held in. This one, you can see it's been rubbing. See that? And, boop, it's not locked down. There's this little, that's cardboard or some kind of gasket. So, not sure what happened here, but I think this lip and everything is worn down, so the axle must have been too close to, I don't know. Mystery solved. There were no shims here, and on the other one there were. I think they took all these shims right here and put them on the axle, and some of them belong here. Somebody's probably been into this rear end before. Bearing, seal, race. See these two little lines on the bearing race? That's not from me hitting it or anything like that. These are made that way. Both races had that on it the same exact way. Why? Happy days. So this right here was rusted on the inside. Inside the tubes it's got rust. This one over here on the outside was rusty really bad, and I decided I'll clean that one up, change the brackets and things over, and make this one work because I'd rather have the inside rust free than the outside. Cleaning it up after a while, getting the brackets off, I thought I inspected it good, but apparently not good enough because there is a rust hole here that I popped through. Could I patch it? Yes. Am I going to? No. This, all the hours spent on this cleaning it and wire wheeling it is been wasted. I'm going to clean this one up. I'm going to put it in the dip tank. That way it can get all the rust out of the tube down in here and clean it up. Why didn't I do that to start with? Because the acid will etch the metal, and it just, look at the inside of this one. That's why. Look, the inside was like nearly perfect. So I just thought that was a better route to go, and I was wrong. And there's a lot of time wasted, and I have a deadline in September.